I've never tried to do this before, but I'm going to make an entire LittleBigPlanet 2 level while recording and chop it all together into a kind of highlight video. I'm used to making things in the third game, but as of the time of recording this, custom servers for LittleBigPlanet 3 weren't working yet. So I figured I'd challenge myself and make something a little out of my comfort zone, which hopefully might also be interesting to watch. I started by building this temple facade off camera to kind of get a feel for the visuals I'm going to work with. At this point I didn't really have much of a plan in mind, but the basket material kind of stood out to me. I ended up just kind of basing the whole level around it. I'm making the entrance checkpoint swing back and forth, just to add some motion to the scenery. I used to make levels that were really still and rigid, but having a lot of moving parts can kind of make the scene feel more alive. I'm actually making my own platforming game, outside of LittleBigPlanet, and that's one of the biggest things I'm trying to lean into when it comes to the environments. A living and breathing scene will always be more interesting than one that's static. I'm cutting this basket down into an interesting shape, making sure that all of my cuts line up with the tiles and the texture, and this is going to be copy and pasted to fill space just about everywhere. It's a simple enough shape that it's not going to cause any performance issues. It'll also be really helpful for breaking up the layers a little bit. The savanna background does fit the theme that I'm using, but it's the lighting that made me choose it. It's probably my favorite background altogether. I feel like it really makes the warmer colors stand out. It doesn't support the dynamic thermometer in LittleBigPlanet 3, or at least the infinite boundaries, so I'm taking the opportunity now to use it while I can. I've got a lot of empty space to fill to the left, so I kind of just went on autopilot and let myself start building some kind of structure. I always get a lot of mileage out of this dotted line sticker. It's easy to throw on just about everything, especially when you're making man-made structures, like castles, ruins, temples, that kind of thing. I'm using a lot of the Theck layer glitch for my scenery, since I don't have access to all the same tools that I would have in LittleBigPlanet 3. You can find levels that give away Theck and Thack materials as prizes on any of the custom servers or on the level archive. The Theck layer is the more useful of the two. It has the same thickness as a checkpoint, so you can use it to add details in front of a thin layer, and you can still walk in front of it. Right now it's a little obvious where the texture repeats on the wall, so I've made this ledge just to kind of copy and paste across the wall to break up the texture a little bit. I actually don't like how busy these things look, so I'll replace them with something different. It's a lot cleaner. And like I said, I'm going to be pasting these cutouts just about everywhere. It's always really helpful to have something simple that you can fill in space with. If I was building with a different theme in mind, I might use rocks or something instead. The main hazard in this level is going to be fire. It gives me an easy way to light the whole scene with orange and red lighting, which looks particularly good with the savanna background. I'm going to keep the shape of all my fire consistent, which means I'm keeping these hexagonal edges, and I'll mimic this style wherever I can, so that it doesn't look out of place. I'll put some stickers onto the basket cutouts that are in the fire, just to make them look like they've been scorched. I'm extending this piece here while still keeping an eye on where the tiles line up, just to keep them looking natural. I'm using the Theck layer glitch some more, just to add some kind of design to the inside of these arches. If you want to make lighting that flickers randomly, all you need is a randomizer and a timer. The maximum on and off time should both be close to 0. I used 0.3 for the on time and 0.2 for the off time. Once the randomizer is set up, plug it into a timer. The target time should be a little bit higher than the maximum time of your randomizer. I used 0.5. And the input type should be forwards backwards. Then you can set up your light however you want it, just make sure the input is set to dimmer. I kept my light pretty subtle because I'm going to be copying and pasting it, and I don't want all the lights to come together and wash out the scene. This material is on the Thack glitched layer. All that it's really used for is sitting in front of the Thack glitched layer without colliding with it. There's a third theoretical glitched layer named Thok, but it was never made stable enough to be used. It would have inhabited the space in front of a Thack layer. So inside the space of one regular thick layer, you would have been able to fit one Thack, and Thok layer. Back in the day, the Thok layer was kind of a holy grail for glitch hunters, but it never turned up. It's used on some of the 3D objects though, such as the front of the teacup, I think. I like having thin support beams in the foreground. They make the scene feel a little more 3D, but they don't take up much space. So they won't get in the way, and they won't block anything from view. 3D objects and decorations are really helpful for breaking up the shape of your level. They add a bit of variety and interest. I tried to use this one in the background. Once I started filling in more of the empty space, it kind of started to look out of place. Especially when I started to extend the ceiling forward. The shadows kind of obscure it too much. So I'll put some more cutouts back there instead. The Thack glitch layer also looks really nice because it is slightly thicker than thin material is. So you can build things that look more three-dimensional. Right now I'm kind of just throwing shapes together and seeing how they work. Whenever I'm not sure what to do next, I drop down into the scene just to look at it through the regular camera angle, because realistically that's the only camera angle that really matters, and it really helps with composition. I'm gonna add some support beams to the support beams, and hope that I can stop myself there. I don't want to have perfect symmetry, so I just lowered the other side a little bit. The flickering lights from earlier can be copied and pasted very easily, but if you use too many, it will lag. I'm adding a spotlight above the spawn checkpoint, which I turned into gas so that I could hide it inside the ceiling. You can never have too many support beams. This is where I stopped after about an hour of working on the level, and then I went to bed. The next day, I started a new area. I didn't have a plan, again, but I knew I wanted to make a big room of some kind, where you'll meet a character of some sort. So of course I started another support beam, with more Thack detailing. I tried this vertical pattern first, and I hated it, so I did this instead, which looks a lot better. Then I copied the whole thing over to what will eventually be the other side of the room. I haven't decided what kind of character to go with, but I want to leave them a lot of space. I'm going to try to leave 2 entire layers empty in the background. The last time I made a character, it took well over 3 hours, which is longer than both of the recording sessions for this video combined. So I'll save that for another time. That way I can also see what kind of direction the level takes, and I can make a character that suits it better. I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted the playable area of this room to look like, so I thought about having these 2 platforms with a gap that a character would help you cross after you speak to them. So I framed the camera around that. And set up both of the platforms. And instantly hated it. It didn't really make sense. If the whole point of this room is for there to be a cutscene, there shouldn't be an easy way to die mid-conversation. I could just disable the controller while you're in the cutscene, but that's less fun. So I kept filling out the shape of the room while I thought of a better solution. This time I'm using the Thack glitch on my fire, so that it can sit in front of any of the Thack scenery that I've already made, without getting stuck on things. It's awkward, but it does work. I can sprinkle more of these cutouts throughout the fire. It'll break it up so that it's not just one giant ball of fire on the bottom of the screen. At this point, I modded the Dephysicalize tool from LittleBigPlanet 3 and Vita into my Hearted page. That should give me more freedom to decorate this room a little bit better. I don't have to worry about whatever character I make later getting stuck on things. If you ever have this problem where stickers don't show up properly, use the corner editing tool to make a new corner, drag it out, and then delete it. It makes the game reload all of the stickers for some reason. Now that I have the Dephysicalize tool, I realized that I can use the Thack layer as well to decorate this room some more. The basket material is also nice because it's inset, so I can put strips of sandpaper on the same layer, and there won't be any Z-fighting. If you don't know what Z-fighting is, it's the flickering that you get when two textures overlap in the same spot. Just to make this platform not as bare, I'm just going to extend another one of these basket cutouts across the entire thing. In case you don't know, when you're using the corner editing tool, the L1 and R1 buttons will snap forward and backward to whatever the nearest corner is, clockwise or counterclockwise, from the one you have selected. I'll put a window in here just to make it a little more interesting. And I'll use a foggy light to emulate the lighting spilling in from outside. Which looking back on now doesn't really make any sense. Maybe I'll go back and add more lights wherever you can see the background. I'll have to see how it affects the frame rate. My favorite stickers to use are the black and white sketches. I always find myself wishing there were more of them. Maybe I'll put together my own mod pack at some point. And you can kind of see behind the wall here, so I'll just extend this last section of the wall to block the view. I call this section almost done, but since there's not going to be any gameplay here, I may as well push the visuals a little bit further. So instead of that two-platform setup with the gap in between, I decided to just go with a ledge that's a little too high to actually jump onto. That way I can have the cutscene play out, and then introduce a way to get that extra little bit of height so that you can move on. And once I've decided on a more concrete direction for the level, I can tie it all together a little better. And I get to polish this platform up now. I want it to still fit in visually with the rest of the level, but it also has to still be different enough to be interesting. I'm not sure how long I want this platform to be yet exactly, so I decided to cut the end back off of it so that I can extend it if I need to later. And of course I need more dotted lines and more support beams. And then next, I'll add a big support beam. And I'm turning on the grid to make an intricate design for the top of the beam. Not sure if this makes sense, but the idea is that once you pass the beam, and the camera kind of sweeps into the next room, it makes you feel more like you're transitioning from one area to a different one. Since there's a bit of empty space here, I'll put another nonsensical sign. And for the next checkpoint, I'll use another one of these basket cutouts as a base. I don't think I've ever used a checkpoint style other than the wooden one. It just goes with everything. Anyway, that's been 2 hours of work. I'll call it here so that next time I can work on gameplay. I actually do have a couple of ideas in mind, but I'll have to do some experimenting and see which one I like more. Hopefully this was interesting. I know I like watching people build things. If you have suggestions or ideas or anything, feel free to share them. As a bit of a bonus, I'll show you how to add the Dephysicalize tool to your profile. All you need is a way to get your profile onto a PC, and you'll want to download Toolkit if you don't have it already. The first thing you'll want to do is go in-game and save a new object, and then heart that object. To make it easier on yourself later, give it a name now, then you can save and quit, and move over to your PC. Load your profile in Toolkit, expand the Items folder and the User Object folder. Inside this folder, you'll find the object you just saved. Right-click on it and press Edit Item Details. Inside this window, switch to the Type tab. Uncheck the box labeled User Objects, and instead check Tools. A drop-down will appear at the bottom of the window. Scroll down towards the bottom. Select Unphysics. Then close the window and say yes when it asks to save changes. Then you can press Ctrl-Shift-S to save a copy of your profile. Don't rename it, but save it somewhere else just in case. That way you have a backup. And now load this profile back onto your PS3 or emulator, and that object that you captured in your hearted page will have been replaced with the Dephysicalize tool.